Hello. How y'all doing today? It is Wednesday, and I don't it's just so weird since we got back. There we go. That feels better to me. I hope that's straight. Or not crooked. Yeah. How y'all doing? Thought we would read a couple chapters. It is the day after Valentine's Day. We're on a Thursday. I hope y'all had a lovely day yesterday. Happy belated Valentine's Day to all those that celebrate. And all those that don't celebrate. I hope your day was beautiful either way. Anyway, let's read a chapter or two together. Let's see. Chapter 31, A Humbug. My master was not immediately suited, but in a few days my new groom came. He was a tall, good-looking fellow enough, but if ever there was a humbug in the shape of a groom, Alfred Smirk was the man. He was very civil to me and never used me ill. In fact, he did a great deal of stroking and patting when his master was there to see it. He always brushed my mane and tail with water and my hoofs with oil before he brought me to the door to make me look smart. But as to cleaning my feet or looking to my shoes or grooming me thoroughly, he thought no more of that than I had been a cow. He left my bit rusty, my saddle damp, and my crupper stiff. Alfred Smirk considered himself very handsome. He spent a great deal of time about his hair, whiskers, and necktie, before a little looking glass in the harness room. When his master was speaking to him, it was always, yes, sir, touching his hat at every word, and everyone thought he was a very nice young man, and that Mr. Barry was very fortunate to meet with him. I should say he was the laziest, most conceited fellow I ever came near. Of course, it was a great thing not to be ill-used, but then a horse wants more than that. I had a loose box, and might have been very comfortable if he had not been too indolent to clean it out. He never took all the straw away, and the smell from what lay beneath was very bad, while the strong vapors that rose up made my eyes smart and inflame, and I did not feel the same appetite for my food. One day his master came in and said, "Alfred, the stable smells rather strong. Should you not give that stable a good scrub and throw down plenty of water?" "Well, sir," he said, touching his cap, "I'll do so if you please, sir, but it is rather dangerous, sir, throwing down water in a horse's box. They are very apt to take cold, sir. I should not like to do him injury, but I'll do it if you please, sir." "Well," said his master, "I should not like him to take cold, but I don't like the smell of this stable. Do you think the drains are all right?" "Yes, sir. Now you mention it, I think the drain does sometimes send back a smell. There may be something wrong, sir." "Then send for the bricklayer and have it seen to," said his master. "Yes, sir, I will." The bricklayer came and pulled up a great many bricks and found nothing amiss. So he put down some lime and charged the master 5 shillings, and the smell in my box was as bad as ever. But that was not all. Standing as I did in a quantity of moist straw, my feet grew unhealthy and tender. And the master used to say, "I don't know what is the matter with this horse. He goes very fumble-footed. I am sometimes afraid he will stumble." "Yes, sir," said Alfred, "I have noticed the same myself when I have exercised him." Now the fact was that he hardly ever did exercise me, and when the master was busy, I often stood for days together without stretching my legs at all, and yet being fed just as high as if I were hard work. This often disordered my health, and made me sometimes heavy and dull, but more often restless and feverish. He never even gave me a meal of green meat or a bran mash, which would have cooled me, for he was altogether as ignorant as he was conceited. And then, instead of exercise or a change of food, I had to take horse balls and draughts, which, beside the nuisance of having them poured down my throat, used to make me feel ill and uncomfortable. One day my feet were so tender that trotting over some fresh stones with my master on my back, I made 2 such serious stumbles that he came down, Lansdowne, into the city. He stopped at the farrier's and asked him to see what was the matter with me. The man took up my feet one by one and examined them. Then, standing up and dusting his hands one against the other, he said, "Your horse has got the thrush, and badly too. His feet are very tender. It is fortunate that he has not been down. I wonder your groom has not seen it before. This is the sort of thing we find in our fowl stables where the litter is never properly cleared out. If you will send him here tomorrow, I will attend to the hoof, and I will direct your man how to apply the liniment, which I will give him." The next day I had my feet thoroughly cleansed and stuffed with tow, soaked in some strong lotion, and a very unpleasant business it was. The farrier ordered all the litter to be taken out of my box day by day, and the floor very clean. Then I was to have bran mash, a little green meat, and not so much corn, till my feet were well again. With this treatment I soon regained my spirits, but Mr. Barry was so much disgusted at being twice deceived by his grooms that he determined to give up keeping a horse and to hire when he wanted one. I was therefore kept till my feet were quite sound, and then sold again. Drinking the string. That was unpleasant. Here we go. Let's see how many pages we got her. Oh, yeah. One more? Oh, and we're into part 3. Okay. Part 3, chapter 32, A Horse Fair. Ooh. No doubt a horse is a very amusing place. No doubt a horse fair is a very amusing place to those who have nothing to lose. At any rate, there is plenty to see. Long strings of young horses out in the country, fresh from the marshes, and droves of shaggy little Welsh ponies, no higher than Merrylegs, and hundreds of cart horses of all sorts, some of them with their long tails braided up and tied with scarlet cord, and a good many like myself, handsome and high-bred, but fallen into the middle class, though through some accident or blemish, unsoundness of wind, or some other complaint. There were some splendid animals quite in their prime, and fit for anything. They were throwing out their legs and showing off their paces in high style as they were trotted out with a leading rein, the groom running by my side. But round in the background there were a number of poor things, sadly broken down with hard work, with their knees knuckling over and their hind legs swinging out at every step, and there was some very dejected-looking old horses, with the under lip hanging down, and the ears laying back heavily, as if there was no more pleasure in life, and no more hope. There were some so thin you might see all their ribs, and some with old sores on their backs and hips. These were sad sights for a horse to look upon, who knows not but he may come to some state. There was a great deal of bargaining, of running up and beating down, and if a horse may speak his mind so far as he understands, I should say there were more lies told and more trickery at the horse fair than a clever man could give an account of. I was put with 2 or 3 other strong, useful-looking horses, and a good many people came to look at us. The gentlemen always turned from me when they saw my broken knees, though the man who had me swore it was only a slip in the stall. The first thing was to pull my mouth open, then to look at my teeth, then to feel all the way around down my legs, and give me a hard feel of the skin and flesh, and then try my paces. It was wonderful what a difference there was in the way things were done. Some did it in a rough, off-handed way, as if one was only a piece of wood, while others would take their hands gently over one's body, with a pat now and then as to say, "By your leave." Of course, I judge a good deal of the buyers by their manners to myself. There was one man, I thought, if he would buy me, I should be happy. He was not a gentleman, nor yet one of the loud, flashy sort that called themselves so. He was rather a small man, but well made, and quick in all his motions. I knew in a moment by the way he handled me that he was used to horses. He spoke gently, and his gray eye had a kind, cheery look in it. It seems strange to say, but it is true all the same, that the clean, fresh smell that there was about him made me take to him. No smell of old beer and tobacco, which I hated, but a fresh smell as if he had come out of the hayloft. He offered 23 pounds for me, but that was refused, and he walked away. I looked after him, but he was gone, and a very hard-looking, loud-voiced man came. I was dreadfully afraid he would have me, but he walked off. One or two more came who did not mean business. Then the hard-faced man came back again and offered 23 pounds. A very close bargain was being driven. For my salesman again to think he should not get all he asked, and must come down. But just then the gray-eyed man came back again. I could not help reaching my head out towards him. He stroked my face kindly. "Well, old chap," he said, "I think we should suit each other. I'll give 24 for him. Say 25 and you shall have him." 24.10, said my friend in a very decided tone, "and not another 6 pence. Yes or no?" "Done," said the salesman. And you may depend upon it, there's a monstrous deal of quality in that horse, and if you want him for cab work, he's a bargain." The money was paid on the spot, and my new master took my halter and led me out of the fair to an inn, where he had a saddle and bridle ready. He gave me a good feed of oats and stood by whilst I ate it, talking to himself and talking to me. Half an hour after we were on our way to London, through pleasant lanes and country roads, until we came into the great London thoroughfare, on which we travelled steadily, till in the twilight we reached the great city. The gas lamps were already lighted. There were streets to the right and streets to the left, and streets crossing each other for mile upon mile. I thought we should never come to the end of them. At last, in passing through one, we came to a long cab stand, when my rider called out in a cheery voice, "Good night, Governor." "Hello," cried a voice. "Have you got a good one?" "I think so," replied the owner. "I wish you luck with him." "Thank you, Governor." And he rode on. We soon turned up one of the side streets, and about halfway up that, we turned into a very narrow street, with rather poor-looking houses on one side, and what seemed to be coach houses and stables on the other. My owner pulled up at one of the houses and whistled. The door flew open, and a young woman, followed by a little girl and a boy, ran out. There was a very lively greeting as my rider dismounted. "Now then, Harry, my boy, open the gates, and Mother will bring us the lantern." The next minute they were standing round me in a small stable yard. "Is he gentle, Father?" "Yes, Dolly, as gentle as your own kitten. Come and pat him." At once the little hand was patting about all over my shoulder without fear. How good it felt. "Let me give him a bran mash while you rub him down," said the mother. "Do, Polly. It's just what he wants, and I know you've got a beautiful mash ready for me." "Sausage dumpling and apple turnover," shouted the boy, which set them all laughing. I was led into a comfortable, clean stable with plenty of dry straw, and after a capital supper, I lay down, thinking I was going to be happy. This is one of my favorite houses that Beauty goes to. But we will come back to that later. I'm just going to show you these pictures. This is from Humbug. What? Oh, that's going to be clear. So I'm just going to keep going for now. Let me get you back in the holder. Sorry there. Humbug, where they were laying down the brick. Little drawing of the trees heading to the horse fair. And there's a little open land there. All right. I'm not sure if this one took or not, so I'm not going to open up the package just in case it didn't. It had told me that I had a low battery in the middle, so I'm not sure if it kept recording. I'll have to remember to reread those chapters if not. But for now, let's just stay there. What were those? 31 and 32? Hopefully they did take. Anyway, I'll see you soon, at which point we've got a package to open I'm very excited about. So, hope y'all have a good evening.